1 p.m. Eastern, the Washington Commanders, 5-5, 3-2 on the road at Houston Texans, 1-7-1, 0-3-1 at home, Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. We will start with the line history in this one. We have these Commanders opening up at -3.5 at +107, so it's really a 3. And they're at -3.5 at +109 right now. From a totals perspective, opened up at 40, slightly juiced to the under. There's been no movement at all. It did open. This start came out this morning. From a cash flow, probably not a lot of tickets in. We have 2,042 tickets, 26% of the tickets, and 64% of the cash on your Texans. Then you have 34% of tickets and 53% of the cash on the over. That's interesting. Commanders on a short week after their big 32-21 win at Philly on Monday. Dominated time of possession. Excellent on third down. Gave the Eagles their first loss of the season. First half, the Commanders were 9-12 on third down. Had the ball for 23 minutes and 49 seconds compared to just 6-11 for the Eagles. The 17-38 time of possession disparity is the most they've had in the first half in franchise history. Heineken, 17-29 for 211 yards. No touchdowns in the pick. Scary Terry caught 8 for 128. He's a monster. Brian Robinson looked as good as he has all year. I know he had the gunshot wounds to start off the year. He looked awesome. 26 carries, 86 yards. Antonio Gibson ran 14 times for 44 yards. Touchdown, caught 3 for 14. Joey Slye looked very confident from long range, 4 field goals. The defense didn't get a ton of pressure on Hurts. They sacked him once, only hit him once, but they slowed the Eagles' running game down, just like they did the week earlier against Minnesota. Derek Forrest had a pick. Commanders defense top 10 in both third down defense and red zone defense, and we know what they do against the run. Texans coming off a 24-16 loss at the Giants. League worst run defense was attacked 47 times for 191 yards. Dimes handed the ball off 42 times. He ran himself 5 times. 47 rushes. Davis Mills was 22-37 for 319 yards, touchdown, a pick. Jordan Akins caught 3 for 72. Chris Moore caught 3 for 70. Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks both returned to the lineup. Collins caught 5 for 49, a touchdown. Cooks got 4 for 37, and Cooks was stripped of his captaincy before the game. It's got to be a fun talk to have with him. Damian Pierce had 17 carries for 94 yards, caught 2 for 28, did lose a fumble. Texans 31st in red zone offense, and we saw it against the Giants. But the defense was strong, gave the Texans a chance to win. The pass rush finished with 3 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. Birdie says, I'll be on Texas here. No rush to bet this. Said, I would love to bet Texas money line, but I think if Young comes back, Washington may be able to sneak out a win here. Sky Dragon says, Washington win last week was much needed for the win total over, and naturally they'll go from beating the best team in the league to losing to the worst team in the league. Says, such a gross spot. 3.5 with Houston is automatic. Probably still bet the 3. Let's hear. Oh, and let's hear what Dizzy Rothstein in the house, too, says top play of the week is Jets plus 3.5 and Jets money line. Sharpie looking at the Brian Robinson rush yards over. Let's hear what Andy has to say about this spot. Commanders, Texans.
You're right now at BetChris. This is -3, -119. It is super close to tipping. You can bet a 3.5 at -123. I'm not going to jump in on that price. If we get some Commanders money and I get a decent 3.5, I would bet on the worst team in the league here in a home spot. And as I think Birdie pointed out, if Chase Young is back, that's a bit of a fly in the ointment for me. Maybe that's what it takes to push us out to a decent 3.5. I don't think any defensive lineman in the league should be worth a half point, but maybe it's enough sentiment to move it to a spot where I can bet it. Kind of a nasty letdown spot, and Houston moved the ball. You say captaincy, that maybe that was important to him. Maybe you see a little bit of some attitude adjusting there with some of these wide receivers who are realizing they're stuck with this team for this year. The offense moved the ball a little against a bad defense, and the Commanders' defense was getting gashed. They were just getting turnovers at the right times and got a nice lucky win there. Now they go on the road. Laying points on the road with a horrible team has never been a recipe for success. Betting on horrible teams isn't always a recipe for success. But yeah, if this gets to a 3.5, this is an ad for me.
Well, there's a 3.5 at -115.
Fuck it, put me on it then.
Wow.
I'll shop around.
Yeah, Yeah, minus 123 at Pinnacle, minus 118 at Heritage, minus 115 at DraftKings. Wow, Andy, this is going to be a wild game to watch. You're going to be screaming at the TV at times, I imagine. But it makes sense.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's probably a sell high spot on Washington coming off a win. Like, are they really, are they really 5 points better than anyone?
Wow. Leo says the under is fishy. This total, let's just take one last look at it quickly here. This total in this one opening at 40.5 at some books, sitting at 40 at most books right now. And then cash wise, we see 34% of tickets on the under, 53% cash on the under. What do you think of this total?
Probably right about where it needs to be. I could check my number, but I'm going to be very close to this. Yeah, 40's fine. Like the Texans offense, if it's successful in the red zone, it might go over. If it pulls some of the shit it did last week, this might stay under. I don't have a strong read on exactly what we're going to get from the Commanders here. If they decide to run and I love Robinson, great story. He looks a little slow. Like he had some success because they were missing some pieces that in that run defense, but he still looked kind of slow. So maybe he has a big game. I don't know if he has a massive game. So
yeah, Mac Beavers, big letdown spot possibly here for the Commanders. Those are the 1 p.m. games. I've not found maybe it's because I got killed last week and worst week of the season.
It's a tough week this week. They aren't sticking out like they were last week.
I did not find clarity here.